Hello, I wanted to come on today for Wisdom Wednesdays and talk to you about something I'm seeing pretty consistently in this market. When I first started out trying to figure out how to talk about this, I wanted to come at it from a certain angle where I was giving you tips. And the reality is, I don't know if I can give you tips on this one. I think I'm better off giving you like warnings, big red flag warnings. What we're seeing right now in Washington State, particularly in Snohomish County, is that it is a seller's market. Inventory is so low and there's so many buyers, which is creating a massive disparity and causing the prices to shoot up. Right now, we're seeing inflation in just ridiculous measures. Homes are selling for much more than they're worth simply because supply and demand. And so with that, we are seeing a lot of sellers saying, why should I have to pay a commission to an agent when I could just sell the home myself? And at the end of the day, yes, that is a very valid argument. But we aren't talking about listing your couch on Craigslist. We are talking about listing one of the most expensive assets you'll ever have on the market and passing it on to a buyer who has high or low knowledge. You don't know. And with that, there are some big pitfalls. For some sellers I have had lately, I'm seeing some things where I think, we could have avoided this if you would have had proper representation. And that goes for buyers as well. Sometimes buyers choose to walk into an open house and have the listing agent write an offer for them. In Washington State, that is legal and allowed, but it can be very dangerous because the listing agent has a fiduciary responsibility to the seller, not to you as a buyer. And so the listing agent may choose to withhold some information from you or choose to withhold some strategies from you that could be very important in how you make your offer. So for today, I want to talk about some of the big pitfalls I'm seeing and how having the right representation, not just with an agent, because when you work with an agent, it's not just them. If you work with them and their lender, or them and their preferred escrow company, or them and their preferred contractors, you can have a very, very different transaction. And so I want to be sure you guys know some of the areas that I've been seeing in the last 2 weeks alone that have created such a difficult transaction because proper representation wasn't in place. The first one is when sellers go to list their home, a lot of times they are looking around the interior of the home. They're looking at their kitchen and saying, oh yeah, that faucet's leaking, let's fix it, which is fantastic. But they're not getting into the nitty gritty. And so I want to make sure that sellers know right now, hey, you want to list your home? Make sure you're aware of what could come up. Yes, you do need to disclose that to a buyer should you discover something structural or that is potentially hazardous. And actually, even if it's just a cracked window, you need to disclose that. So let's be honest, guys. But with that, you should know. You should know before you get a buyer's inspector in there telling you all these problems. You should know that your roof is failing, that your attic has mold, that your crawl space has water in it. I just had a seller and turn into a buyer who got into a home and within a week had a foot of water in the basement crawl space. That's bad. That's really bad. And as an agent, that shocked me to learn because when we did the inspection, it was totally fine. And so it's important to know these things as a seller, especially in this wet season we have right now. Know the stats of your home. Otherwise, you could get yourself in deep water and you could have a buyer coming back to you with requests of thousands of dollars. Item number 2, the title of your home and the easements on your title are critical that you know and understand them. I have a current case going on where we knew about easements, but they are being redefined by neighbors. And that's important that you know and you are ready to discuss them. Your agent will be the one that's representing you and helping you get through these steps, but really who the agent has paired with for their title and escrow is critical on this specific issue. The title team needs to be prepared to defend and enforce the different things going on. Hi, Pup. And if you're working with the wrong title company, one that's not communicating, one that's not on the ball, you could be in deep water. And so who your agent brings to the table as their support system is critical. The next thing that I really want to touch on is your contracts. Your contracts can be a really tricky place that some big things come up. If you're trying to represent yourself and you have someone making an offer with an agent, that agent is not acting in your best interest. And they're acting in the best interest of their client, logically. And so with that, they may choose to put some things in the contract. And if you're a seller who doesn't know how to read a contract like this, you could be paying out their closing costs. You could be finding yourself selling off parts of your home that you did not want to sell. What I mean by that is you might find that they've entered in the TV or the patio furniture and you didn't say yes to that in your mind, but it's on your contract and you signed it. Sorry, Charlie, it's theirs now. So I cannot stress enough, if you're a seller who's considering putting their home on the market themselves, be so ready. Be so ready for the different things that can come up in your contracts, in your title, in your lending. And if you can, guys, please, I can't stress enough, work with the right people. That does not have to be me. That does not have to be my team. But it needs to be someone who can properly represent you. And that money that you put out, whether it's 3%, 2.5%, 2%, it's really irrelevant when we're talking about hundreds of thousands should you get your transaction wrong. So if you have any questions as a seller, give me a text. Mercedes would love to see you. Talk to you soon, guys.